Hello once again and welcome to the podcast Just Ruth and Company that shares the raw accounts of failure, love, success, relationships, societal, mental, financial and all the other issues in between, giving you useful tips and advice on how to live your best life possible. As the COVID-19 pandemic rages on, a number of persons have been displaced. Among those persons are several Jamaicans who are now in France. Many of them are English language assistants and others are Jamaicans who went there for vacations, short courses and varying other reasons but are unable to return home. Well, as you can imagine, times are tough. They're in a country that speaks a language that some of these Jamaicans, interestingly, do not speak. And the money that they have saved for their tickets to return home, they have to be putting to other use because they are unable to make it back. It sounds stressful, and it is. And you may want to help, and you can. Today you can find out how on the program, as we will be speaking with the president of JAMINFRANCE, which is an association of Jamaicans living in France. They have set up a GoFundMe page so that you can assist persons who are in dire need of your assistance. And joining me to share all the information you will need in order to help our brothers and sisters in France is O'Neill Madden, and he is the 2020 to 2021 president of JAMINFRANCE. And he's also the co-founder and the director of education at Rock Care Foundation, which means reaching others through compassion and kindness. Thank you so very much, Mr. Madden, for joining me on my podcast. It's an honor having you here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for arranging this interview as well.
Yes, definitely, because this is something that is close to my heart, because were it a couple of years ago, I would have been one of the assistants in the same position. And for persons who skipped through the intro and you're wondering what we're talking about, well, we're talking about the JAMINFRANCE group, and they have organized a GoFundMe to help Jamaican assistants who are currently in France as this pandemic rages on. So we're joined by the president of that group. He's just gonna talk to us a little bit and tell us where we need to go so we can support this worthy cause. But just before we do that, I know that a lot of persons may be wondering, so what exactly is JAMINFRANCE? So can you help us out there a little?
Sure. So JAMINFRANCE is actually the Association of Jamaican Nationals in France, which was established in 2017 by founder and former President Edward Boucher Jr. And the aim of JAMINFRANCE is really to provide a community for Jamaicans in the French France-based diaspora. And we promote Jamaican culture here. We want to ensure that there is an association in place because in France, Jamaicans are scattered all over the country. And so we want them to know that there is a community in case they need any assistance to do anything. And we organize events also so that we can have that kind of connection at least once, twice, or thrice a year where people can meet up, to have some Jamaican-ness. Because sometimes you get very lost in the French culture and very distant too because it's not the same as our culture. So you want to provide that as well. And we also seek to promote Jamaican businesses in France. And to a larger extent, we aim to support Jamaicans back home. So like having our diaspora supporting the development of Jamaica. So that's what we are pretty much about.
Okay, wonderful. Sounds great. And I'm back in Jamaica now. When I was an assistant, I don't know how it is that I did not know about the group or I wasn't a part of it. But since I've returned to Jamaica, I've been a member, not an active member, but I guess I can do that from a distance. Is that possible to be an active member from a
Yes,
distance?
sure. Yes. You can participate in our activities. And like you've mentioned, we're talking primarily about our GoFundMe activity today. So that's a way that you can support because you just need to go online on our page and click, and you can use your credit debit card to make a donation. And also, we work in collaboration with different entities in Jamaica. So if you're there and we're organizing something, you can play a role while we're in Jamaica as well. So you are not necessarily separated by geographical location in terms of your presence in Jamaica, France.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Before I get to asking you how Jamaicans in France are doing, because I'm sure they would have communicated with you, like a large number of them probably would have. Let me start with you. How are you doing?
I am doing better. Since the
But
lockdown started, it was very difficult because I'm a university lecturer and I like having this contact with my students and my colleagues. And so it was pretty difficult not seeing them for so long. And it's a lot more difficult also working from home. I have the impression that I'm working 12 hours a day and even more, always in my emails trying to respond to my colleagues and my students. But I've adapted to that routine and things are much calmer now. Technically speaking, I am on holidays,
ah,
except that you're on call when you're on holidays because of the situation at hand. And so you still have to be active in your email just in case there's something you need to respond to. And also because we have to organize all the exams at distance and also to prepare for the new academic year that is coming up in September. It's pretty challenging, but we've been making progress in terms of my department. I'm a part of the Faculty of Languages and Cultures and Communication, and primarily the English department. So we're making plans. We are the largest department in our faculty, by the way. So it's the logistics. It's a lot more difficult for us, but we're getting there. So
okay.
I'm
Come
fine.
along. Okay, it's good. It's good to know that you're fine overall, not just in the work,
Yeah.
like I'm always genuinely concerned about how persons are doing outside of the work. So if you're doing fine outside of the
Yeah.
work as well, then we're good. Where exactly in France are you located, by the way?
I'm in the center of France, Clermont-Ferrand. Not many people know about the
Yeah.
Clermont-Ferrand region. Yes. So pretty much we're close to Saint-Étienne and Lyon. Lyon is just 2 hours away from Clermont-Ferrand. Yes, so a lot of people know Lyon, which is more metropolitan than Clermont.
Yeah.
So it's not far away. So right in the center of France, where we have the headquarters for Michelin. For those who don't know, Michelin is a tire company. Yes, and it's a volcanic region. So yes, strategically located.
Okay, then. And as it relates to the number of persons in your region who have corona, who have been tested positive, what's that number like? I'm not straying, I'm genuinely, I'm going to go back to the GoFundMe, but just to find out what's happening in your environs.
Not fine, not a problem. In terms of the département, the Clermont-Ferrand, we are one of the departments with the least number of cases. I happen to find out. I can't tell you the precise number. I really don't know. I haven't checked in the last 24 hours, but I know it's not a large number. And based on my prior readings, I found out that a lot of victims from different cities and regions have been transferred to Clermont-Ferrand. So it goes to show that we don't have many cases because if we did, then we wouldn't have had space to accommodate people from other areas. So we are, you know, not safe, but we're in a good place in terms of the number of virus victims that we have here.
Okay, that's good. And you are following the directives. You're staying at your Tanaya yard, which which is a wonderful thing
Definitely,
to do your part.
definitely.
Which brings me to the assistants. We have a number of assistants. What exactly is the number? Over 40, I believe.
Um, no, well, this year, well, of course, there are people who have renewed from previous years, but in terms of the number on the list, the official list that we got this for this year, academic year, it's 33, I believe, and that includes about three or four from the Bahamas because, Jamaica, the Jamaica director of the TAPIF Teaching Assistant Program in France, Mrs. Rona Passar, is actually governs both Jamaica and the Bahamas. So the number is 33, and they're all over France.
Yeah,
Some in very
definitely.
isolated areas, very rural areas. And we have meetings with them like every 2 weeks. In fact, tomorrow, Madame Passar, she has organized a meeting. So I think we're meeting tomorrow to have another update of how they are doing. But generally speaking, based on what we've heard from them, they're doing well. They're getting the support from their schools, their administrations, and from colleagues there. So that's very encouraging. People are assisting them. People are looking out for them because, of course, they can't go back home at this point. And some of the rectorals, they're actually looking into extending their contract because, as you know, as a former assistant, your contract ends in, well, today.
Yes,
Today is the end of
which I
the
would have
last day
said,
of
yeah.
April. Yes. So some academies have decided to extend their contract. So we're still waiting for confirmation from the assistants to find out if they are among those who have been accepted to continue at least for the month of May. And we just had like about two cases coming from the conversations I've had with people who are in need of help, that there are two assistants who really need help because they're in a difficult situation. As you know, the salary or the stipend, if we want to use
Yeah.
that word, is not a lot. It's around 790 euros per month. And sometimes your rent is more than half of that. So if that's the case of an assistant, which was the case when I was an assistant about 5 years ago, it
Where
was
were
pretty
you?
difficult.
We're
I
in
was in
Paris?
Clermont, in Clermont.
Really? The rent is
Yeah.
that high there? I thought that only happened like in Paris and okay.
So yeah. But well, I mean, we're hoping to be able to help these people from the GoFundMe. But generally speaking, they're doing well, and I'm happy to hear that. Of course, they're concerned, and their family members are concerned
Of
too.
course.
But I want them to know, for those who will eventually listen to this program, that the community here is supporting them. We are in contact with them, and we're doing our best to help those who are in need, and we're in dialogue with the various government agencies, the embassy in Brussels, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Jamaica, to provide the necessary update to know when borders are going to be reopened and how we can organize their return to Jamaica when that is possible.
Okay, as you made mention of that, I think last week or so, or was it the week before that, I actually joined one of those meetings that was happening, and I was very proud. I was very happy for the support that they were
Yeah,
getting because it is indeed a scary time. You're not in your own country, you're not with
yeah,
family members. And even if you've mastered French, it's a different culture. It's completely different. And to be going through a pandemic in another country is quite difficult. And a country that is very far away from your home country. It
most
is very
certainly.
difficult.
I mean, the truth is, I've been here for 5 years, so I it is safe to say that I've got used to living here, but at the same time, it's still difficult. So it doesn't matter how long you've been here, there comes a time, even now, that you're like, I would have preferred to be with my family. In fact, I was
Yeah.
supposed to be in Jamaica now because I
Wow.
planned to be there during this holiday period, but it just didn't work out. And I miss my family. I do. So it's a difficult time, but thanks to technology, we are
Yes.
able to keep in contact. Yes.
Yes. And we're going to go back to the GoFundMe now. So for persons who are joining, whether they're just listening or they're watching this on YouTube, just to let you know, as you would have mentioned already, Mr. Madden, that um, the contracts end in April. Technically, yes. So you know your visa has almost expired. Luckily, provisions are made, so you know that
Yes.
has been extended for an additional 3 months for now, but persons still have rent to pay. They still have to purchase food. Some
Yes.
persons may have underlying conditions, so they need medication.
Mhm.
So it is a lot, and these things add up. A lot of these persons on the program are students or persons who are just finishing their studies. So
Mhm.
in Jamaica, sir, then on money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
for persons in Jamaica who are even saying, okay, my daughter is there, my son is there, let me try to send some money. It is not that easy, especially when in Jamaica there's a lockdown. You can't just go on the road, and they
Yeah.
can't just go on the road either. So it's a difficult time. And it is great that this GoFundMe is you've put this out, because it's a great way for us to rally and to support our people, because this is
Yes.
the time that they need us most. So just help persons to know where exactly to go and how to make their contribution.
All right, I'm going to address that shortly. Outside of the assistants and the students who are here, there are some Jamaicans who came for vacation, or I know of a specific gentleman who I communicated with who came for a short course. He doesn't speak French any at all. And he was supposed to go back home from about mid-March. When he went to the airport in Brussels, the borders were closed, so he had to come back. And so, what has happened to people like him in this situation is that they, of course, they hadn't made provisions to be here for so long, so their money has run out, of course, and they still have to be paying rent and buying food. And some who haven't bought a return ticket yet, they have to be using this money
Oh, this
that they would have used to buy their return ticket to survive in this time. So you can understand that the need is dire. And of course, because we don't know when things are going to return to normality, it's really uncertain. And so we have created this GoFundMe to help to cushion the situation, to provide this level of support. So to contribute to this worthy cause, you can go to our JAMINFRANCE pages. We're on social media. So it is JAMINFRANCE on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and we post periodic updates. And so you can check that out, and you can just go online and type in GoFundMe, help Jamaicans in difficulty in France, and you should see the link pop up, and you can just make your contribution using a credit card or debit card. And if you don't want your name to show on it, you can select the anonymous
you can click that button.
option so that just go. And don't be sorry.
No. I was just filling in when you were
Okay,
saying
okay. Yes, fine. So you can click that anonymous button. Your name doesn't appear on the site that you've contributed. And there's sometimes this notion that, oh, you don't have enough money to contribute, so you're not going to contribute. In the Jamaican jargon, we say every mickle make a muckle. So wherever you are in the world listening, whether it's in Jamaica, if you can contribute $500, 1,000. In the US, if it's 10 US dollars. In the UK, if it's £10, in France, if it's €5, €10, whatever you can contribute, everything adds up at the end of the day, and your help will help us to reach our target so that we can help our brothers and sisters in the shortest possible time. So again, it's Jam in France on our
and that's
Instagram, on our Facebook,
JAMIN.
on our Twitter. Yes, Jamin, like right, JAMIN, France, France. And there are other Jamin associations that have partnered with us. So if you go on Jamin UK, the same JAMIN, they also have it on their social media pages. And we have partnered with JADA in the US also. So you can go on their pages and you can see the link and you can make a donation.
Okay, this is wonderful. What's the goal? How much are we trying to raise?
Well, we have started with 5,000 euros, which we think, it's a relative sum. Shouldn't
It
be
is.
that difficult to reach the target. So, I mean, depending on the need and how far we can get, if we can reach our target, that would be great. If we can extend it, exceed it, rather, then that would even be greater. So for the moment, we have, just when I checked earlier, we've got just over 1,500 euros in a matter of, less than a week, which is encouraging. And some people have, donated up to 300 euros. And I really want to thank everybody. And I also want to thank these major contributors for making this sacrifice to assist our fellow Jamaicans here.
And I second that motion. I am quite proud of the persons who've already made a donation. I want to join in. And trust me, guys, however you can make the donation, if you don't have any funds right now, but you can share it on your page where one
Yes.
person might see it who can make a donation, then you would have played your part. So don't just pass over it and say, boy, if me they have money, but me not have none.
Yeah.
Share it on your page. Share it with a friend. You never know who will be able to make a contribution so that we can help our brothers and sisters who are in need. Wonderful job, Mr. Madden. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we wrap?
We are really hoping to, well, after the COVID-19, to meet up with everybody so we can celebrate. Of course, things are not going to be the same afterwards. We will have to meet up and celebrate, while socially distancing ourselves. But we're looking forward to that opportunity where we can see each other again in person, because I think it's more reassuring where we can look at people to say, we've survived this and we know that you have, because we have seen you in person. So we are looking forward to that. And I want us to remain vigilant and to continue to follow the necessary precautions that are given to us, the measures by the various entities, whether in Jamaica, in the country that you're in, because I think some people are not taking this virus as serious as they should. So I think it's very important that we emphasize the need to take these precautionary measures so that we can see the back of this virus in the shortest possible time. So in closing, please go ahead, make a donation. If you don't have the money, share the link with somebody, because you never know who can contribute. Help us to reach our target and help us to help our brothers and sisters to get through with this difficult time.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. And I will definitely link this in the description bar below so persons can just go right ahead and click and make a donation. This is wonderful work that JAMINFRANCE is doing. Congratulations to you and the team. Continue with your hard work, and hopefully after COVID we can, have a conversation in a
Yes.
different kind of setting.
Yes, yes, yes.
But until then, Tanaya Yard, do your
Yes.
continue doing your part to flatten the curve, and we will talk again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for facilitating this interview.
You're most welcome. All right. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. We've come to the end of another episode of Just Ruth and Company. Do remember that you should do your part in flattening the curve, Tanaya Yard. And if you can make a contribution to the GoFundMe that JAMINFRANCE has set up for Jamaicans who are in need in France, go right ahead, scroll down, and I have a link in the comments bar below, actually in the description bar below. And If you don't have any money to contribute, just remember that sharing is caring. So share it on your page, and you never know who is following you, which of your friends can and is willing to make a contribution. That's it for today's episode. Once again, thank you so very much for joining. I'm Ruth Carr. I'll catch you in the next one.